points on the less. Before I share my decades of experience in capital business, let me walk through the business of control and power. And I'd like to share, since the time is short, I'd like to talk about how this venture capital business works. And of course, there's no specific relevance to the world economic forum as such, but the fact that venture capital promotes economic growth, and incidentally that actually finds many people together. If you look at the proxy benchmark for innovation in the world, I think it depends on the extent of venture capital in a particular country. If you look at the US or elsewhere, you can see that the proxy benchmark for innovation. If you look at some of the biggest names in the business, whether it is Google or Apple or Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp, look at any big names, any of the large names, they've all been funded by venture capital at some point in time in the growth phase. If you come back to, of course, this industry is about 70 odd years old in the Western countries. It's come recently to India, probably about a little more than 2 decades in India. So there are not many big success stories to talk about because it's still a growing industry. But certainly if you look at the largest biotech company in the country today, Biocom, or other small, recently of course, we're all reading in the papers the e-commerce successes like Flipkart, Snapdeal, or Ola Cabs. These are all funded by venture capitalists at some point in time. But then the question is, what is real venture capital? As the name indicates, it is the capital that supports ventures. So typically, if you look at it, these ventures are typically one which are non-fundable. They're more of ideas, and they're non-fundable by banks. So of course, in the last, I would say about 20 odd years, we have seen a tremendous amount of changes happening in this industry. You have a varied spectrum of industry, stage of this business, starting with incubation, and then you have seed stage funding, then you have VC funding, early stage funding. You have probably growth stage funding, you have late stage funding, pre-IPO funding, IPO, then post-IPO. So the whole spectrum of activities that happen. Now, as you see the spectrum, one end of the spectrum is obviously the very high risk spectrum, and the other end is relatively low risk. So the whole business is about a risk-reward relationship. So where are we? It depends on the risk. So these companies have hugely succeeded, and they've been all funded by VC companies, venture capital companies. So for one success that we see today, you must realize that there are at least about 100 that have fallen by the wayside, which we never hear of. But that's the nature of this business, the VC business. The world experience, if you look at it, is roughly about, if a venture capital fund supports 10 companies, typical relationship is that 3 or 4 companies are bound to fail despite the best. 15 gives the first one takes it. And another 3 companies probably return the investment that has been made. And it's only the other 2 or 3 companies which become really big successes, which further promote venture capital in any way place. So unless there is success in this venture capital, the funds itself, it is very unlikely for recycling to happen. So there must be some success stories available for this to happen. In my own experience, we've seen in IT, we've seen in typically the fact that, as I said before, these are all early stage companies, probably with no support whatsoever, they are not funded by the banks, so obviously you can't raise money. So you need to resort to funding from some very different sources. So that happens. So obviously, when you invite the angels or the venture capitalists, they come in at a stage where they are willing to share the risk, and obviously they expect very high return. So we've seen in our own life that where in our own fund, that the first fund that we managed, in 18 companies that we invest, 9 have failed completely. We got literally no return on that. So 2-3 companies have actually generated literally the whole fund size. I mean, 3-4 times the fund size. So these 2-3 success stories that actually make all the difference, and that is what they act as a catalyst for it gives encouragement to us as well as investors, and also it throws up this positive feedback to the entrepreneurs to come, and I think if that fillip will succeed, why not? So, of course, this business has gone through an enormous amount of changes because of regulatory aspects in the last few years. We don't to work through all of the need to worry about what current issues facing. But one thing certainly that I think is hurting this business is, unlike in the West, where the venture funds raise money from different sources, banks, institutional investors, fund of funds, pension funds, insurance companies, etc. Whereas in India, it is really limited by banks and insurance companies. And with the current regulations of the RBI, etc., the available source of funding is very, very limited. And that typically hurts the industry. While this industry was roughly about less than $100 million in 1990, today it runs into a few $1 billion, but it's all coming from the West. Our own internal funding is not available for this industry to grow. And also, if you look at the whole industry as such, almost 75 to 80% money goes into the late stage companies. So literally about 10 to 15% money goes into the early stage. And early stage where the whole innovation is available. Now, if we have to create entrepreneurs in the country, if we have to really create economic growth, we need to support these small and medium entrepreneurs. And the money really available is very limited. And these people really suffer because they can't go to banks or any other convention because they're all collateral based. And these guys don't have anything. So that is something which we need to really figure out how we are able to catalyze, provide this catalytic effect to the entrepreneurs who have innovation, who have innovative idea, but how do they really fund it? So that's something that which I think one has to work on. So in terms of, as I said before, the VC business is an exciting business for us because we keep seeing very different entrepreneurs with different backgrounds. And incidentally, just for since we're talking about World Economic Forum, in my career of about 20 odd years, we have looked at, I would say, about more than 2,000 business plans and funded about 40 of them. It just so happened that just about less than 1% is actually other than Hindus. So most of these entrepreneurs happen to be Hindus, and I think they really come up with great ideas.
Ramesh, you have given us a lot of motivation and confidence. In fact, though it appears to be sharing some pessimistic approach, but ultimately you made us understand how one can think of venture capital impact. And we thank you very much for giving us enough confidence and motivation. Now, I request Mr. Dec2014. Now I request Mr. Dec2014, Managing Director of Hyderabad Mass Automation. Before that, I invite Mr. Raghunath Khanna, Director of Satguru Management Consultants. Actually, he was supposed to chair this program. He has come. Welcome, sir. You have come on time. Please, sir. You are requested to. Please accept a small picture, sir. Mr. Dec2014, I request to, I invite Mr. Dec2014 to share his views with us. Wherever if he communicate here or there.
Which is easy. And good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know why I am here, because he has to share my experiences as an well, I've been asked to share my experience as an entrepreneur. Now, as Mr. Ramesh Alu was speaking there, in fact, he literally took me back 20 years. When I was an engineer who resigned his job and tried to work on a new concept. Well, we had no fundings. And still, we were able to incubate, develop, and implement. Because there was this United States Agency of International Development, which did a survey, and they selected about 4 engineers amongst some few thousand applications, and I happened to be one of that 4. And we were funded, and we started. Now the funding was to commercialize. So the day we make the invoice, they are off, and we need to look for the particular, because of the condition of the land, the royalties to be paid back to them. Now, I was an electronics engineer without any background of finance or taxation or all like banking. And when we did, when we successfully completed that program for acceleration of commercial technology in my field, and the commercialization in the right earnest started. It was the TDICI, the Technology Development Division of the ICICI S5. They said, we are a venture capitalist and we will fund you. So we said, I was very glad. I went up and down to Bombay, perhaps had about 10 to 15 meetings and about 20 presentations, and there are people coming and visiting them. And then they shifted their TDICI office to Bangalore. They said, come to Bangalore. There's a new vice president who is heading this. I went over there. He heard everything, he looked at everything, he said, I read the report of my assessor. But you see, now we have become more of an investment bankers than the venture capitalist. Now I didn't understand that because I'm an engineer. I can deal only with electronics. So that was an obvious journey. As I said, now there's a concept, a proven concept. Once it is demonstrated, an entrepreneur faces a lot of hurdles, mainly in terms of the funding, and specifically if he is a first generation. Like rightly as he said, he doesn't have anything to offer as good collaterals. So unless he accumulates the money over a period of time and creates an asset to his enterprise, only then you will see the funding, which did happen. Okay, we have grown, but the growth, the curve has been very steep. If we have a sort of a funding to a concept, to an idea, which can be verified by a group of experts and say, yes, this has a potential. And if we, as a part of the Hindu community and part of the Hindu comrades, if we can create that, perhaps that could generate a lot of funds for the entrepreneur as well as to the community. So this is one thing which we feel, which we go through. And of course, once you are a success, there are many to fund you. But when you are in need, there are very few who will come and do that. So in fact, I feel that bringing together the people with the venture funding, the people with the knowledge, and the people who are the consulting, the regional economic forum can itself start a sort of a group which could help each other by way of networking, by way of helping out each other. And for all of you who have, who are trying to come out with a new idea and who would like to do a development, don't be discouraged if somebody laughs at you and says it's not easy. About 6 to 8 years back, I wanted a funding for a smart suitcase because I deal in the sensors. I wanted to build a suitcase which could automatically show the weight, which could be locked and unlocked by your mobile. People laughed at it. Just the last week, in the papers, the news came out. The blue case is out. And that venture capitalist has funded them $1.4 million. Crowdfunding has been $1.6 million, totally around $3 million. And the pre-booking campaign, which they have begun, they have booked about 25,000 suitcases at $300. And they are expecting that 20,000 to grow by geometric proportions in the next couple of months. Now, I still have the suitcase, which can wait. Anybody interested? I can put it out and show it to them in the factory. See, perhaps the idea people have, and that needs to be properly vetted, assessed, and this particular networking for harnessing the idea for the good of the community has to be there. It's the need of the hour. As he said, just beginning, there's a huge change from that time to this time. From the last century to this century, the way the entire things are happening, the way we are moving on all the different fronts. So today it's a global village. And it's time that we all need to get together in this act. And I again pronounce Swamiji for having taken this initiative and organized this. And Kumar as well as B.K. Sharma for getting me involved into this. Thank you.
Thank you, sir, for doing a lot of encouragement, in fact, networking and helping each other. The way you put it is, there's no need to get frustrated. Thank you for your valuable message. Now, in fact, on behalf of Hannah, in fact, so I request Mr. Janaya Alas, Professor at Engineering University, to express his valuable views.
Respected Swamiji, Arindra Garu and others, Mr. Kumar,